because I'm too short and Eva's too tall for me, and when I'm in leathers and boots, I have a lot of trouble touching the ground, and I have even more trouble trying to pull the kickstand out. And I need the kickstand on this bike because dismounting is really, really hard when you can barely touch the ground. Having that side stand come out and stabilize the bike makes it so much easier for me to get off quickly. The plan is to put a little extender on the side of the kickstand so my boot can easily grab it and push it all the way down, because at the moment it is next to impossible to get access to it. So that's just barely tippy toes, only one at a time on either side of the bike. So if I get that kickstand out of the way. Now the first problem is trying to find that tiny little tip of the kickstand with my boot, which slips off a fair bit, and I'm constantly rubbing on the fairing to try and get access to it. But then when I do get it, often I can't get it far enough down to lock it into place, and it'll just spring back up. Especially with leathers on, it's much harder to get in there. So what'll happen often is that'll just pop straight back up. Of course, it's not going to demonstrate it for you now. And then getting my foot around in time to flick it forward and then get it down. So this happened a couple of weeks ago. I did California Superbike Training School Level 1, and they run a tight ship, like it's an outstanding course, and I might give you an update on it in a future video. But getting off the track and getting my bike back into the pits and off the bike really, really quickly to make it back to the coach was a challenge. They really wanted you to do that quickly, and I actually got in trouble once for not being able to because I was messing around with the kickstand for too long. On a normal track day, it probably doesn't matter, but when you're coming off the track and you're hot and sweaty and breathing heavy, fussing around with trying to balance the bike and get that kickstand down is just too much of a pain in the butt. So the problem gets fixed today. So there's the side stand relative to the fairing and relative to the shift lever. And what my goal is to try and get a little extension somewhere around about here. So it's not going to get in the way of operating the shift lever, but also so that it's not sticking out too far, and that I don't want it dragging on the track before the foot peg does. And then also in a position where my boot can more easily access it than back here, because the peg's actually in the way of really getting access there. And also high enough up the side stand so that when my boot does grab it, I can easily swing it all the way through its full operation just in one movement. So the idea is that one of these bolts is going to get screwed into the side stand at a convenient place, I think just above where it bends there. We're going to drill a hole into the side stand and then tap a thread into it. I'm assuming that it's solid. It feels like it is. And so then screw this in, secure it with Loctite, probably maybe a nut on the other side. I've just got to make sure that whatever I do doesn't foul the fairing in any way. And of course I've got to double check that where I put it on the leg of the side stand is not going to cause any problems with how my foot moves around to operate the shift lever. And also what I don't want is for it to stick out so far that it ends up touching the ground at lean before the foot peg does. I don't think that's going to be a problem because it's tucked in quite far, and I probably only need only a couple of centimetres of it sticking out for my boot to capture it. Maybe in time I will weld it onto the side stand just to lock it in there once I'm sure that it's working well. It is not going to look very pretty, and I'm not really worried about that. As beautiful as this 848 is, she is a track-only bike. She's had a few little homemade modifications to her, which I kind of love. The previous owner made a little plate here just to lift the rear sets a little bit higher. And also, he made these little, hang on, I'll get rid of the glare. He made these little blanking plates for the mirror holes as well. She obviously had gone through a lot of damage from the vandalism that happened to the key barrel. So yeah, I'm not being too precious about using a daggy old bolt in the side stand just to make things easier for myself. I'll also likely give it a clean and paint it as well, so it doesn't look too conspicuous, I hope, but that's the plan. I've just set up a little Allen key and a hose clamp there to just kind of work out where I want this to be, and Scotty was just helping me kind of see where my heel was travelling in my boot to push it down, and I can still reach it with my boot heel when it's there. Can't reach my boot heel all the way through the travel of the side stand if I'm just grabbing onto the foot. So even though that's not too far up, not as far up as I thought I'd need it, it still makes access really easy, and it sits just a little bit. Oh, hang on, there we go. Thanks, Scotty. It sits between the peg and the shift lever, so my boot can really easily just come down and grab it. And when it's a little bit shorter than the Allen key is, it's not going to interfere at all with my boot being able to get in and shift. So this looks like the place it needs to be. Clamp will come off and I'll commit and start drilling. And by the way, we're not welding this because I can't weld yet, and Scotty hasn't done any welding in quite a while, and we just don't want to stuff it up. So yeah, drilling is the way we're going. That went through pretty easy. We're about to tap it, tap a thread into it, but I guess I didn't really know if it was alloy or steel. Given that it's alloy and I'm using a steel bolt to go into it, it's going to be secured with nuts on either side and red Loctite, I think, because I don't know. You can't weld alloy to steel, can you? I certainly don't know. And we've never welded alloy before, so if this doesn't work, it's going to have to go to a professional. I haven't done this before, tapping a thread, so this tool keeps slipping. Got a new handle that works better. Just getting it back in there. And now we're cutting. Well, that felt pretty good going through. But it feels smooth. So there is a nut on the back, and it seems like there's enough space in the fairing there for that nut to clear. So that's good. And then I'll probably have a nut here on this side as well, just to secure the whole thing. Found a nylock nut. Another one for the back. That might be just enough, actually. Here we go for a test. First feeling is that bolt doesn't look quite long enough. But that felt all right. My leg is effectively 6 centimetres longer, so I can get that action from my heel all the way through to almost to the kickstand fully opened. I think I can find that fairly well. Very likely, though, that my boot is going to keep rubbing on that fairing, so I think I would like a bolt a little bit longer than that one. That definitely feels tons easier. Nice. So, went to Bunnings and found this black Allen head bolt, a bit longer than the one I had, about 1 centimetre longer, and also some black nylock nuts to go with it, so it's a little less conspicuous than the silver. That's looking pretty good. Sticks out a little bit more, which is nice, but not too much. I'll give it a test. Definitely easier to get to without my boot coming near the fairing. All the way down. Perfect. So I ended up not putting any Loctite on that bolt. I'll give it a day at the track and just see if it vibrates loose, or, well, see what it does in general before I put anything in there to make it more permanent. But that's good. Simple solution, very homemade, but it's just going to make it so much easier getting on and off the bike. So cool. Maybe it'll give you an idea if you need to do something for your own 848, 1098, 1198. Pretty sure the side stands are pretty hard to reach on all of them. Anyway, see you next time.